So welcome back to part 3 of the sections. I don't know how many parts there's going to be. It depends on how far we get. I wanted to point out a lot of the things I had completed yesterday after the last video, as well as some things I'm looking forward to working on next in this, and some issues I ran into that you will probably run into as well. So, as you can see, I've made some progress on a lot of the parts of this that I've been working on, specifically on the walls that are going to be on the far stage left side of the space here. So I've also added a person, which is important. So I just generally do an outline. I wish I was better at this. This is something I should practice over this quarantine period. I should learn to draw my silhouette people a little bit better. But I put them down first because I want them on center, and I need to know everything that's going to be in place that will occlude or block things I'm going to see. So once I get down here, let me see if it's possible to see this. I'm almost to the point where I don't need my floor plan underneath. My floor plan, you can still see the vague outline of my scenery that I'm drawing, and I need all that, even though I've transferred a lot of it. This is the center line, right where the top edge of my parallel or my T-score is lined up. I still need to make sure I track every bit of information I have in there. I haven't done that every place yet. I've figured out the heights of my doorways here, my lancet doors. I figured out my railings and my walls. I've got some more construction to do in there. I know where the columns are. I need to add in one more column here. I've also been playing with the idea of the actual arch, and I've changed it based on doing some research. I've got some books on constructing Gothic architecture that I'm using as a reference, and I need to reflect that. Now, that also means I'm probably going to go back in. No, I can't. I was going to say I'm going to go back in and change my floor plan, but I can't change my floor plan because it's drawn in ink. So that'll be an issue. Coffee break, pause. So all of these lines in here, all of these vertical lines that you see, they can be traced back into these areas here. And I'm going to try to manipulate the camera, pardon me for a moment, to see this just a little bit better. I'll probably fumble with it, so my apologies, but I can't really zoom it. I don't really have that ability with this camera. So let me see what I can get this to do. Drop this down, turn it over, and then I'll rotate it in just a second so you can see. There we go. So that goes there, and then this turns. So here's the area that I'm working on. So underneath all of these items, like there you can just barely see it, or here, that's my hatched outline with my very heavy line for my column that I cut through. And then these are the flats. I've got some doors in there that I've just started to put in there. But notice how these lines I've drawn in ink over the top, they correspond with those arcs. These vertical lines go all the way down the page are those columns. There's also some bases on these that I've drawn down on the other side of the section. Now, I didn't have any plan for these past a certain point, so I'm going to draw them all the way up. I technically shouldn't. I should have ended them wherever the sight lines allow me to. So here's this is going to become the outline, the section outline of my portal right here, that area. I should have done from my sight lines a visibility, but now that I just did, here, I'll show you. You can't see the lower sight line indicator, but right there, that is telling me that with a thickness of 1 foot, that audience member would be able to see just about all of this column and absolutely all of that column. We're going to cover sight lines and how to use them for masking in a future class. I think not next week, the week after. Actually, next week, I think we're going to do that. But I've got some other things to resolve in here. So I have started to do the lower architecture for each one of these, which are these lancet windows. I'm going to take you back out to the full view. So you can see that. I need to figure out what the upper level is going to be because I have not done that. And so I need to start working in between these two, the top and the bottom. And I need to make design decisions now that I know the heights of the walls about all of these things. And this is where I have to shift my attention to everything about the lines. I'm still doing the lines, but I'm being the designer. I need to figure out what all of these shapes will be, and then I need to correctly reconcile the design with the floor plan that I have. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. I've got some sketches about what I want the details of the wall to work, or how I want the wall to look and work. But now I'm having to actually become accountable for it, because there's going to be a number of features and details to those walls that if I don't represent them here, I'm going to have to go back and change them in the future. Now, there is another step coming, which is also part of next week, which is called front elevations. On that lesson, we're going to be taking every wall surface that we have in our designs, and we're going to be laying them flat on a whole nother sheet of paper. So we're going to see every one of my walls as a flat front view with no depth. And then we'll get to be able to really pay attention to the details. That is also going to lead into another type of drawing called details. So all of the little architectural details that you can't really see in 1/2 inch, I will blow up to probably 1.5 inches or 3 inch. I may even do, in fact, I know I will do, a true scale drawing of the cross-sectional shape of the arch trim, because it isn't easy to see what that's going to be, even in a smaller scale that's not 1/2 inch. If we went to 3 inch, it'd be still difficult to see that. Also, I want you, all of you, to learn how to draw true size drawings, full scale drawings. So I need to start that process now. Now, I'm not going to draw in the 1/2 inch every bit of detail that I will have on my elevations or on my, definitely not on my details. That's going to be the real thing. But I still need to give enough of an indication on here that other people that look at this, say the lighting designer or even the stage manager, to a much lesser degree the director, about the different elements that are going to be on here. What this is primarily used for at this point is going to be, the section anyway, is going to be telling the lighting designer where people can stand. So I've got the person here. I need to add another person right up here on this center line. I'll do that later. And then I need to finish all of these wall structures. Another step coming up when we're going to have a mini lesson on lighting and sound. It's a one-day thing of just like how to start drawing, because we use templates for that, how to start drawing references for that. And I'm going to talk to the lighting and sound people about how to do beam spreads and try to figure out how that will affect placement. But in order to do that in the future, we're also going to be adding on a grid to this whole thing, which we have not done yet. But that's okay, because the grid's going to be something that we can put in place. So I just wanted to check in with you on the progress I've made so far. The next time you see this, I'm going to have a lot more stuff on here. I'll talk about how I got through that. But what I really want you to pay attention to is the fact that when you're on that center line, you're cutting through the middle right there, and you see everything from your center line to that wall, but you see it in the order that it appears. So if my person was standing on center, he would have been sliced in half, which is why I sectioned him. It doesn't really work that way for this person, but whatever. The next thing I'm going to see is going to be these walls and columns, and then I'll see the things outside of it. I still have a whole series of flats with a window unit in it that is behind these doors, and I'm going to have to draw in next. And I'll probably do that with slightly screened lines so it's not as prevalent, because the elevations will really show that, but I do need to show the details for it. I'm also going to have to show these doors. Each one of these archways has to be filled with a steel bar grate door. That's one of the requirements of the set. So I'll be adding that in as well. So keep drawing. I hope things are going well. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. Send me questions.